Hello everyone, welcome back to the next episode of Nurturing Corner with Shumee. Breastfeeding is an important journey that starts from the mom when the child is born. And today we will talk how we can make it more easier for the mom and the child. As soon as the child is born, the first thing that the mother and child in contact is also like through breastfeeding that they have. So how important is breastfeeding for the child and for the mom?
Yeah, it's very important for both of them. Firstly, I'll talk about the mother, why it's important. Because now the uterus had expanded when the child was in the womb. When the child starts breastfeeding, it produces a hormone in the mother's body. We call it oxytocin. This helps shrink the uterus.
Okay.
So when this happens, the chances of infection in the uterus are much lesser. So that's very helpful for the mother. And psychologically, the mother now, the child was inside the mother's body. And the mother feels this loss of something from her body. Breastfeeding creates that bond where she feels that, okay, what I've lost from my body is still with me. So psychologically is very important for the mother. And for the child, it has huge benefits. Firstly, nutritionally, um, all the nutrition that the child needs comes from the breast milk. And secondly, this child also is coming to a new environment now, almost living in the water in the mother's uterus, now is out. That when the mother is breastfeeding, he or she experiences skin to skin, hears the mother's heartbeat, and is getting nutrition. So that's a huge bonding factor and attachment factor for the child.
But then breastfeeding is such an important part uh, of birthing, and nobody talks about it, right? Nobody prepares you for it. Is there some societal cultural thing that we face, or why is it so?
Even I've never understood it. And I also used to tell after I had my child, saying everyone talks about pregnancy and labor, all that is spoken about. And whether you should have natural or C-section, all this is so well spoken about. But breastfeeding is such a journey for the mother because it is initially a painful process, right? Until the mother gets used to it and the child gets used to latching, and the mother needs so much help during this process. Initially, it's a very difficult thing until the mother gets used to this. And I think something that mothers need to be psychologically prepared before breastfeeding, because that's one preparation we completely lack, and suddenly it hits you that, oh my God, what am I doing? You start feeling like a cow, if I may, because you have to always be available for the child. But that's an important psychological preparation, and to know the benefits for yourself and for the child and what environment it creates for both of you.
Because for me also personally, when I became a first time mom, this was the most difficult part for me, like understanding this whole process, getting it right, and it was not happening. So I was also very emotional, and the whole environment was also telling me that this is something you need to do. So if you're not able to do it for some reason, is that something that you should feel less of yourself as a mom, or is there something that we can do about it for ourselves?
Absolutely not. I don't think so, because the benefits of breastfeeding, yes, you can't really compensate it completely by bottle feeding, but you can get there, especially the psychological benefits while bottle feeding. Also, keep the child at your breast and feed. And after a point, how you change to the other breast after a while, you do that during bottle feeding also. And to give skin to skin while bottle feeding, and to look the child in the eye, because these are important things that you can do even while bottle feeding.
Also, even when you start the process, then there's another worry that is always there. Is the child full? Did I do my best? Is it the, all those things keep coming in. You're frantically searching for solutions. Like even if you don't need one, you are searching for. And I think this is, I mean, the first process, and this you are very worried about. So again, how do we help ourselves?
I think firstly to not Google everything because everything has 1,000 solutions and 1,000 bad things going on. We search about poop color, how many times the child has urinated, how much, how wet the diaper is. The child is losing weight initially. That happens because the child has not learned to latch on. Um, go with what the pediatrician is saying. Of course, medically they are much more knowledgeable. Go with it, but do not do your Google searches, which only increases your anxiety. And anxiety does not help with milk secretion.
So you need to keep yourself calm to and be okay with what is happening at that point. Also, some of us are working moms, right? So we have to get back to work. Especially for like I remember my own days, I had to be back to college. I was doing my PhD. Then even with my younger one in the US, where we had only 2 months of maternity break. So you have to be back in that process again. Breastfeeding is a very big worry in your.
So I think at least the first 6 weeks, it's good for the mother to breastfeed and form that connection. After that, slowly, because if you have to go back to work, then you'll have to build that attachment with the father also, or whichever adult is taking care of the child. While you're still there, to build some sort of an attachment for the child with the other caregiver will be useful for the child and helpful for the child, so that it's not a transition, a quick transition. Mother was giving breast milk and suddenly I'm being bottle fed by someone else. I think that transition should be smooth.
Also, like as the child is growing up, obviously you'll be weaning off the child, and there's solids that are coming in, the requirement for being breastfed decreases for the child. But sometimes we also as parents have an emotional need for the child to be breastfed, or somehow we do emotionally connect on that. Is that for us, when should we know that this is absolutely at this age we should just stop it? I mean, the child might be ready to stop, but we may not be ready to stop.
When you know that the child is taking all the solid meals and eating good solid meals, then you know that this is just a habit. Your habit and your child's habit. Right? Around when the child starts walking, nutritionally he is able to survive on just solid food. After that, it is just your bonding factor that takes you through how many ever months or years you breastfeed.
But is there a cutoff we should set for ourselves that yes, now we should also try to grow out of it and be okay with it?
I really wouldn't say this age is a cutoff, because different people have different theories. There is an immunity factor that comes from breast milk also. Some other research says that some components that are useful for brain growth comes from breast milk, so breastfeed for longer. So there's so many studies to prove so many things. It is really your convenience. If you're working and you do not have time to feed, then you should really stop. But night feeds should really stop, because that becomes a crutch for sleeping, and it becomes an issue with cavities. So night feeding should completely stop. If that stops, mostly that is what the child needs. During the day, the child is busy and will not even ask you. So mostly it will stop around when the child is walking.
Thank you, Hindola, for helping us understand the journey of breastfeeding. It's an emotional journey both for the mom and for the child, and a very important process that every mom goes through. And it was really nice talking to you about all the struggles that we as a mom also face while breastfeeding our little one. And I hope all of you also found this episode as helpful as I did. Please do write into us, send us your questions, let us know what any topic that you would like to hear from us, and we would be happy to take it up. And until then, bye.